I mean, the other reality here, which I think is actually the big thing that Elon Musk seems to have forgotten, Trump is the person in this situation who won an election. And if you look at opinion polling, Trump's favorable ratings, if you can believe it, are actually higher than Musk's. There are a lot of people in politics in the Republican Party, and particularly on Capitol Hill, who have a lot more loyalty to Trump than they ever had to Elon Musk.
Let's talk about Trump and Musk then, because they're, what would you call it? It's amazing to me that bromance has become the word that everyone is using with a straight face, but it is a bit like that. Their friendship, their relationship, they've been living in each other's pockets, and then just last week they distanced themselves. Well, now it seems to have imploded in a dramatic fashion. Musk claiming that Trump is, quote, in the Epstein files, as Chloe says. We have no evidence for that. And that the president's big new finance bill, the big beautiful bill, will be terrible for America. Well, with us now is Joe Sternberg from the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal. Hi there, Joe.
Good morning.
Hi. This was predicted in the sense that they're very volatile personalities, and Trump often ultimately alienates people who are close to him. But did you predict it would unravel in such a fast and dramatic way?
No, and actually, I have to say, and I'm going to surprise even myself when I do say this, in this instance, actually, most of the drama seems to have been coming from Elon Musk's side instead of Trump. I mean, all of the reporting that we have so far suggests that, over the past week or so, Trump was adopting a strategy of going gently and trying not to alienate Elon Musk too much, as they managed Musk's departure from the administration and back into the private sector. And it's a little unclear why Musk seems to have run off the rails here. I mean, I think that a big part of it is that, they had this political entanglement, and Musk seems to have gotten a little too big for himself there, and he misunderstood that Trump actually is the president who won the election and is also more popular than Musk is right now, if you can believe it. And then you also have a bunch of issues that are actually floating around in this budget bill that affect Musk's businesses pretty directly. And so I think that, that seems to be the source of this feud. And then given that they are both, mercurial personalities, it has ended up erupting in pretty spectacular fashion.
But if that analysis is right, then there's still a lesson for Trump in this, isn't there, rather than Musk? I mean, Musk is the private citizen who got brought into the government. Trump brought him in. There's a reason you don't invite your most high-profile donors into the Oval Office to make policy with you.
Well, I'm not necessarily sure if the problem here was inviting a high-profile donor to do a function like this government efficiency drive. I think the problem was that high-profile donor was Elon Musk. And I think that you are always taking a risk if you bring some of these really flamboyant personalities into your inner circle. And the thing about Trump is that he takes that risk all the time, which is why
Yes.
you periodically end up with these big blow-ups between him and various people in his orbit. It is just part of his method. So, I mean, from that perspective, it isn't really surprising that the two have had this kind of very dramatic falling out. Although, again, I mean, you never know exactly when that volcano is going to erupt. So the best we can do is just pop our popcorn and enjoy the show.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because Trump often himself talks about the kind of TV worthiness of his encounters, doesn't he? Even when they go badly, like when he was trashing Zelensky in the Oval Office. He said this will make terrific television. I do wonder, actually, whether it's as bad for Trump as it might seem on the surface that one of his big supporters is turning away from him, just because the way he likes to govern is sort of smash everything, make big headlines, get talked about, gossip, bitch about people on social networks, and he can do all that.
Well, I mean, the other reality here, which I think is actually the big thing that Elon Musk seems to have forgotten, Trump is the person in this situation who won an election. And if you look at opinion polling, Trump's favorable ratings, if you can believe it, are actually higher than Musk's. There are a lot of people in politics in the Republican Party, and particularly on Capitol Hill, who have a lot more loyalty to Trump than they ever had to Elon Musk. And I think that one of the strange dynamics that was going on here is that Musk came in with this government efficiency drive. He was trying to run government as if it were one of his businesses. That has always been a recipe for abject failure anytime anyone from the business world has tried that in the US government over the years. And I think that he also seems to really believe the hype from people in his circle of tech bros and Tesla enthusiasts and the rest of it about how popular Elon Musk, is. That's not a reflection of what's actually going on out in most of America.
There are a couple of insinuations, I think, about what Musk has been putting on X overnight, which aren't rational, really, when you analyse them, and I just wanted to do that with you. One is this business of I helped him get elected. I mean, is he saying that he used his position, some would say abused his position of owning X to help him get elected? Because if so, that doesn't sound like democracy. The other thing he's saying, essentially insinuating, is that Trump, cavorted with paedophiles. Trump was mentioned in the Epstein files. We don't know about that, but that's what he's saying, and that's what he wants his readers to think on X. Again, if you actually think about what he's saying then, is he saying that he knew that all along but was happy just to go along with it because he had power, and only now does he realise that that was a bad idea? Or is he saying this has just come to his attention? In which case, is this the best way to raise a very serious issue?
Well, I mean, my read on the first point is that it has less to do with Musk's ownership of X, formerly Twitter, and more to do with the fact that Musk was a major campaign donor. And remember, American elections are outrageously expensive. And so it's always a challenge for candidates to find the money to wage those campaigns. And Musk was very helpful to Trump in that regard. But I mean, at the end of the day, you have to be the candidate who wins the election. And I think that, people have a certain loyalty to the candidate that they have voted for that they don't have to the donors of that candidate. And so I think that Musk fundamentally is misunderstanding how this system works and what your role is if you're a campaign donor. I mean, on the Epstein front, I had to roll my eyes when I saw that, because I think that the entanglements of various prominent figures allegedly with Jeffrey Epstein is a major scandal. It's also the case that, if there were actually a connection between Trump and Epstein, it's possible that that's out there, but I have to believe that we would have heard more about it by now, because there are a lot of people who would have been very motivated to leak about that before now. So I think this is just another of those examples of, both of them have this political method and persona of you throw the spaghetti at the wall and you see what sticks.
Well, he's certainly hoping that there'll be more to come out, because he's asking people to pin this tweet. So let's see. Thank you, Joe Sternberg, from the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal there.